Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are covering the brand new CYBERSE monster that actually got revealed this morning. Very, very interesting card to me. This card has some really cool, nifty tricks that it can do. I love that it's like IP Masquerade lore. That's cool. It definitely synergizes with IP Masquerade, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. It's one of those cards on the surface kind of seems like pretty basic. Oh, just like another nice CYBERSE extender. But I think there are some nifty things that this card allows you to do. So let's just get into it. Let's cover the card, then we'll talk about what kind of things this does for certain CYBERSE decks. So this is EMP Gremmeowd, I think. Level 2 Dark CYBERSE effect monster, 800 attack, 0 defense, just like IP, essentially. You can only special summon this card by its first effect once per turn, and you can only use the second effect once per turn as well. First effect, if there is a Link monster on the field or in either graveyard, you can special summon this card from the hand. 2, if a Link 2 monster or monsters you control is sent to the graveyard or banished face up, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, then target a card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Pretty cool. So it is just like just a nice extender, jumps on the field super easily by having any Link monster in any graveyard, by the way. So even going second, if your opponent played a Link-based deck and put a Link monster in grave, this card just jumps out. You don't even have to do anything. This could be your first card you start with, which is pretty cool. And then the second effect, giving you a utility bounce when any Link 2 monster is sent to the graveyard or banished, is pretty solid. So there's also like mirror match potential there, right? If you play against somebody who does play IP Masquerade and they try to quick link on your turn with it, you could still trigger this card when they make the new monster, which is pretty nice, actually. Get you some payback there. It's cool. Now there's a bunch of other like little nifty things here. This card makes IP Masquerade actually playable in CYBERSE decks if you so choose. Now you can't make IP Masquerade with Link monsters, so you have to be wary of that. Like you have to have combo lines that are making her with just main deck CYBERSE monsters. But if you do and set this card up in grave, when you quick link on the opponent's turn, not only would you get, whatever, SP Little Knight or Underworld Goddess or whatever else you're going to link into, but you also get this card's bounce effect as well. So you're actually turning this card into an interruption on the opponent's turn. Not to mention, if you're playing just against a Link deck, this, again, the second effect is not just you, it's you or your opponent. So even if you just play against a Link deck and just put this card in grave, if your opponent just Link summons and links away a Link 2 to make a Link whatever, you're able to trigger this card and bounce a card, which is pretty powerful versus Links for sure. So I like this card. I think this is really interesting. The deck that I think it makes the most sense in is potentially Code Talkers, because they already have like combos where you go through Signet Codec and it's searching you like one of each attribute, and there's honestly not a ton of great dark targets. Really, the only two dark targets we've seen in Code Talker is Nightmare Corruptor Ibly and Microcoder. So Microcoder is probably overall the better card here, but Microcoder might even be a 3 of in that deck. You might end up Signet mining for it sometimes in that deck. So having a secondary target, or even this could just be a 3 of as well. It's a pretty good extender for what it's worth. That's pretty powerful. I mean, one thing about its extendability here is that it just needs any Link monster like around on the field or in the graveyard. So one really nice piece is that for a lot of CYBERSE decks, one of the biggest problems for them is like if you clear their board, they cannot extend in a lot of cases. Microcoder, Code Generator, all those guys who need to link from hand, they need a monster on field. Those are turned off. Even stuff like Salads, right? Like Spinny can't reborn if you don't control a Salad. Not Gazelle. Gazelle can trigger, so Gazelle's is a pretty good example. What's the other one? Jack Jaguar can't summon back if you don't control a Salamangreat, right? So there's like a ton. Parallel Seed, another one that just like needs monsters on the field to be able to extend. So stuff like Nibiru, stuff like your opponent saying, you know what, I'm going to wipe his board early, and this deck doesn't even usually play a ton of extenders to play through it anyway, so good luck. But there's one of those cards that does, so that's really nice, especially with Nib, because you'd be able to potentially take like the nib token into Splash Mage if you didn't have to use it yet. Summon this guy, make splash, you know, summon back, and then when you link off splash again, you'll be able to trigger this card to get an extra bounce on your way of climbing. So really, really cool. And then obviously the utility of going second, right? Like just playing into a board, going second with just engine, just extenders. This now gives us another extra utility piece of like, oh, I just get a bounce while I'm link climbing. If they let me link climb far enough, I'm going to start throwing a bounce at them, and they're going to have to deal with that along the way. So I think it's a cool card. The question's going to be, like, it's already going to be competing with, like, Microcoder as a dark target, but it might just be generically good enough that, like, you can play both. And then if you already have Microcoder, you search this card kind of thing, and it's just not even a problem. But I'm curious about it. I definitely think this card's interesting. But you know, that's everything I have for today. Let me know your thoughts down below on this. Are there any other archetypes that you think are like particularly interesting with this card? Like other than Code Talkers, because there's a handful of other CYBERSE decks that are like decent. Are there any that you think like actually should take a look at this? You know, whether it's specifically Math Mech or Salamangreat. No, Marine Says probably wouldn't, but specifically those two are the other two CYBERSE decks that like run around right now, aside from, you know, Code Talkers, which don't even run around that much right now. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that, but I do think this is generically a good card. If you're a CYBERSE fan, please let me know any extra synergies or stuff that kind of hit your mind as soon as you saw it, but this is a cool one. This is just a nice little, like, they'll probably be low rarity, easy to get out of this set, but could end up coming up for sure in CYBERSE decks down the line. So yeah, really cool. Let me know your thoughts down below. Be curious on that. I'm out of here for today. I'll keep you updated with any extra Phantom Nightmare reveals that come in the next couple days. We should be getting a ton, but I'll see you in the next one. Otherwise, peace.